Have you ever wondered when the loving, grateful children you raised turned into strangers who ignore your needs, and how you can quietly, without drama, get that respect back? The quiet shift in family life is something many parents never expect but eventually feel deep inside their hearts. You spent decades raising your children, giving them everything you had, the sleepless nights, the scraped knees you gently cared for, the weekends you sacrificed, and even the dreams you quietly set aside so theirs could come true. You walked with them through their first steps, comforted them through heartbreaks, celebrated their triumphs, and carried more than your share of burdens just so they could have lighter ones. You poured yourself into their lives because that's what love does. But now, as time has passed, you notice a change that feels almost invisible at first but grows heavier with every passing year. When you speak, they cut you off. When you share advice, they shrug it away. And when you ask for a little help, suddenly, they are too busy. The moments that once connected you now seem filled with distance, and the house that once echoed with laughter feels quieter than you ever imagined. The hardest part isn't just their lack of time, it's the quiet ache of feeling like you've somehow faded into the background, as though the years you gave so freely are no longer seen or remembered. That kind of invisibility hurts more than words can describe because it touches the very core of your love and sacrifices. But here's the truth, you are not alone in this feeling. So many parents experience the same unspoken ache, the same shift where the roles change and the respect you once had seems to waver. If this is where you find yourself, know that your worth hasn't disappeared. What you feel is real, and it's far more common than you might think. Why this happens is something many parents quietly wonder about but rarely say out loud. There comes a time in life when the roles begin to flip, and it can feel unsettling. You were once the protector, the guide, the teacher, the problem solver, the person they leaned on for everything, from tying their shoes to fixing their broken hearts. But as your children grow into adulthood, their world begins to spin faster. Careers, relationships, children of their own, and endless responsibilities pull them in so many directions that the way they relate to you slowly changes. It's rarely out of cruelty or lack of love, more often, it's simply a shift in priorities or a quiet assumption that you'll always be there no matter what. They begin to take your presence, your advice, and your sacrifices for granted, not realizing how deeply those dismissals can cut. And while they may not intend to hurt you, the sting is still real, leaving you feeling unappreciated, overlooked, or even invisible in the very family you built. The truth is, this is a common part of aging and family dynamics, but it doesn't mean things must stay this way. The good news is that respect and connection can be rebuilt, not through shouting, guilt, or demands, but through quiet strength, calm boundaries, and self-respect. By showing them, gently yet firmly, how you expect to be treated and by living with dignity, you can shift the relationship in a healthier direction. It may take time, but it is possible to regain the balance so they see you not just as someone who gave everything, but as someone who still deserves love, respect, and a valued place in their lives. The cost of always pleasing others is heavier than most parents realize, and it often shows up in ways that quietly erode respect. Many mothers and fathers, especially as they grow older, keep saying yes long after their heart is whispering no. You cancel your own plans to babysit even when you're tired, you smile through tones that cut deep because you don't want to seem difficult, and you agree to requests that make you uncomfortable just to keep the peace. On the surface, it feels like you're keeping the family together, but underneath it slowly chips away at how others see you. The truth is, the more you chase approval, the less others value your voice. People, by nature, tend to respect what holds firm, not what always bends. Every time you silence your own needs for the sake of harmony, you unintentionally send the message that your time, your energy, and your feelings matter less. That's not the legacy you deserve. Respect isn't built by giving in, it's built by showing quiet strength and honoring yourself. Learning to say no kindly but firmly, keeping your plans even when others push, and protecting your time isn't selfish, it's necessary. It doesn't mean you love your children or family any less, it means you also love and value yourself. When you begin to stand tall in this way, others start to notice. They may not admit it out loud at first, but over time they will respect you more, because you've shown them how to treat you. Boundaries are not walls, they are lessons in love, teaching your family that you are not invisible, that your presence is valuable, and that your life deserves the same dignity and care you've always given to theirs. Stop arguing, start leading. This may sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful shifts you can make in your relationship with your children. Arguing rarely brings respect, in fact, it often does the opposite. When tempers rise and voices grow louder, the real message gets lost in the noise. I once knew a retired teacher named Frank who experienced this very struggle. At school, his students respected him deeply, his calm authority carried weight. But at home, with his grown children, every conversation seemed to spiral into a shouting match. He thought that by pushing harder, by arguing back, he could earn their attention and respect. But nothing ever changed. Then one day, Frank decided to do something different. He stopped trying to win every debate. He didn't stop sharing his thoughts or expressing his feelings, but he did it in a calm, measured way, without trying to prove himself. He carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who knew his worth, someone who had nothing to prove. And slowly, something began to shift. His children started to listen, not because he yelled louder, but because his calm presence spoke louder than words. You see, calmness is not weakness and it is certainly not surrender. True calmness is leadership. When you keep your peace and speak with steady dignity, you set the tone of the relationship. You teach through example, showing others that your strength is not in volume, but in self-control. Arguments can make you feel small, but calm confidence makes you stand tall. And in that presence, without demands or anger, you become the lesson, one that your children cannot help but respect. Finding emotional independence is one of the most freeing and empowering things you can do as a parent, especially as you grow older. Too often, without even realizing it, many parents hand over their emotional well-being to their children. You wait by the phone for a call that doesn't come, and each silent evening feels like a quiet rejection. You measure your worth by how often they visit, how warmly they speak, or how much time they give you. But here's the truth, relying on your children for your happiness gives them a kind of power they may not even know they have, and it leaves you feeling empty when they don't meet those unspoken expectations. I remember Helen, a mother who loved her children with her whole heart. She used to sit by the window, waiting for their calls, replaying old memories, and feeling more invisible each passing day. But one day, she decided to shift her focus. She joined a dance class, reconnected with old friends, and picked up her paintbrush again after years of silence. She began to laugh, to live, and to fill her days with meaning. And something amazing happened, her children started calling more, not out of obligation, but out of genuine interest. They wanted to hear about her life, her joy, her adventures. You see, when you're emotionally whole, you stop chasing attention and start attracting it naturally. Independence doesn't mean you love your children less, it means you also love yourself enough to live fully. And when your happiness shines from within, your children see you not as someone clinging to them, but as someone they admire, strong, vibrant, and worthy of respect. That is the beauty of emotional independence. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, they are about teaching others how to treat you with the dignity you deserve. Think of them not as walls, but as gentle instructions that let others know what is acceptable and what is not. Robert, a father of grown children, used to stay silent whenever they interrupted him, dismissed his words, or even snapped at him. At first, he thought keeping quiet would keep the peace, but instead, it only encouraged more of the same behavior. Then one evening, after being cut off mid-sentence at dinner, he calmly waited and later said, "I won't continue when I'm spoken to like that. We can talk when things are respectful." He didn't yell, he didn't shame anyone, he simply set a clear, calm limit. And something powerful happened. Over time, his children began to notice, and they adjusted. They realized that his attention and presence were not guaranteed, but needed to be earned through respect. This is the heart of boundaries. They don't require anger or conflict, just consistency and clarity. Simple phrases can make all the difference. "I have other plans today, let's pick another time," or "Please speak to me respectfully," or "I will step away." These statements may feel small, but when repeated with calm steadiness, they reshape the way others interact with you. The more consistent you are, the more people will learn to meet those standards. Boundaries protect your peace and teach your children, and everyone around you, that your time, your energy, and your voice matter. Far from creating distance, they actually strengthen relationships, because mutual respect becomes the foundation. Boundaries are love with clarity, and they quietly transform how others see and value you. Giving is one of the purest expressions of love, but when giving becomes endless and unbalanced, it can quietly turn into a source of pain. Many parents, like George, spend decades saying yes to every request, believing that constant sacrifice is the only way to show love. Even in his late 70s, George was still running errands, fixing things, and rearranging his days to meet his children's needs. Yet when the time came that he needed help, a ride to the doctor, a hand around the house, no one seemed available. His kindness had become so constant, so expected, that it was invisible. That's when George realized something needed to change. He began saying no to requests that were careless or taken for granted, and he chose to give only when it was truly needed and acknowledged. At first, his children were upset, even frustrated, because they were used to his automatic yes. But slowly, something powerful happened. They began to notice. They asked with more gratitude, treated his time with more respect, and saw his help not as a given, but as a gift. Pulling back from endless giving is not cruelty, and it is not withholding love, it is teaching others to value your presence, your time, and your care. True giving comes from a place of choice, not obligation, and when your yes carries weight, it regains meaning. By protecting your energy and setting limits, you remind others that love is not about being used, but about being respected. And in doing so, you give your children and family an even greater gift, the chance to truly appreciate you. It's easy to forget, after years of pouring yourself into raising a family, that you are not only a parent, you are still a whole person with dreams, needs, and passions that deserve space to breathe. Many parents reach a stage where their children no longer need them in the same way, and it can feel like an emptiness, almost like your purpose has faded. But this is not the end of your story, it's an invitation to rediscover yourself. Rebuilding a life outside of your children doesn't mean you love them any less, it means you're choosing to honor your own life as well. Start small, maybe take a local art or cooking class, reconnect with old friends you haven't seen in years, plan a short trip that excites you, or return to a hobby that once made your heart feel alive. Establish simple rituals that belong only to you, a morning walk, an evening cup of tea with a book, or a weekly meet-up with people who uplift you. These little things remind you that your identity is bigger than the role of parent. And here's the beautiful truth, the more your life shines with its own light, the more your children begin to respect and admire you not just as mom or dad, but as a strong, full human being with passions, interests, and independence. They stop seeing you only as a resource to lean on and start seeing you as someone inspiring, someone with a story still unfolding. When you nurture your own joy and growth, you not only reclaim your sense of self, but you also set a powerful example that life is meant to be lived fully at every stage. Change doesn't have to come in one huge, overwhelming leap, it begins with small, simple steps that slowly reshape how others see and treat you. Start today by choosing just one thing, say no to a request you would normally accept, and instead keep your own plans without guilt. Notice how freeing it feels to honor your own time. The next time someone interrupts you, don't shrink back, speak up gently but firmly, perhaps with a smile, and let them know you deserve to finish your thought. Schedule one appointment this week that is only for you, maybe a walk in the park, a coffee with a friend, or even just a quiet hour doing something you enjoy. Words can be powerful tools, too. Try saying, "I deserve to be spoken to kindly," or "I'm happy to help if you can show appreciation." These phrases aren't confrontational, they're gentle reminders that your respect matters. At first, people may be surprised, but when you stay consistent, they begin to understand. The truth is, change doesn't happen in one grand moment, it builds with small, steady acts of self-respect. Each time you choose yourself, you're teaching others how to value you. Over time, those tiny steps add up to something powerful, a life where you feel seen, respected, and appreciated. And perhaps the most beautiful part. When you respect yourself enough to set limits and honor your own needs, others learn to mirror that respect back to you. It all begins with that first small step, and that step can start today. As we close, I want to leave you with something deeply important. You deserve respect, no matter your age, no matter the season of life you're in. Reclaiming respect doesn't come from shouting, demanding, or fighting. It comes from quiet, steady choices that show the world you value yourself. The beauty is that when you begin to honor your own time, needs, and voice, others naturally begin to mirror that respect back to you. You don't need to chase love or approval, you only need to stand in the truth that you are worthy of it. I know it isn't always easy, but remember, every small step you take toward valuing yourself makes a difference. I would love to hear your story. Have you tried setting boundaries, saying no, or creating space for yourself? Share it in the comments, because your experience may be the encouragement someone else desperately needs right now. If this message has touched your heart or reminded you of your own strength, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos that honor dignity, boundaries, and building a meaningful next chapter of life. Always remember, you are stronger than you realize, you are worthy of love and respect, and it is never too late to be seen and valued for who you truly are. The journey continues, and your story is still unfolding beautifully. If this video spoke to your heart, don't leave without subscribing. Click that subscribe button right now and join this community where your dignity, your wisdom, and your voice truly matter. Every week we share powerful reminders, life lessons, and encouragement to help you feel valued and respected in this chapter of life. And don't forget to tap the bell icon, so you never miss a video that could make a real difference in how you see yourself and how others treat you. You are not alone. Together, we're building a space where respect, love, and strength always come first. Subscribe today and let's walk this journey side by side.